Hey everybody, welcome back to the week. It's good to connect with you all again, and I hope you're well. We are getting down to the wire, as I've been counting as far as school goes. I think we're only together for about another 5 weeks, and I'm just really excited to finish out the year strong. And really, today is the day that we start to come into some of the assignments that are going to help us put together what we've learned so far this year. If you completed last week's assignments, I'm actually done. We're actually done learning any new particular pieces of code together as a class. They're welcome to keep exploring on your own. And for today, we'll kind of do the following things. We'll talk a little bit about mastery coding assignment number 4, which will be your last independent big coding assignment of the year. And you do have a quiz to take today on JavaScript, now that we've learned a lot of its functionality and the pieces for it. When I'm done talking about mastery coding assignment number 4, I'm going to do a little bit of review based on questions I got on the last homework assignment, and I've broken it down into kind of 3 pieces here. We're going to make buttons work properly with functions. We'll talk about variables in JavaScript, and we'll talk about if-else statements, in particular using variables in them. If you feel like you want that review, you're welcome to watch the entirety of this video. And if not, you're welcome to skip that portion once we've talked about mastery coding assignment number 4 and move on squarely to the quiz. On the left, you'll see a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge today. And on the right, you'll see a picture of the Brooklyn Bridge in January of this year. As you are aware of, as we all are aware of, our lives have really changed in the last couple of weeks in a lot of really challenging and difficult ways. COVID has really changed the structure of American society, and in many ways, I think it's the biggest structural change that's occurred maybe since World War II, with this many people's daily ways of life being affected. COVID's effects on us actually caused a lot of problems. Not necessarily negative problems, but problems that we need to solve in order to adapt to this changing life. And there are a lot of problems that, in particular, computers might be helpful for solving. If you remember back to the very first day, our goal of computer science is to use computers to solve problems. We already talked about the possibility of virtual doctor's appointments. You did that for your little mid-unit assignment, and showing off the ways in which um, we needed to rapidly adapt to serving people at home rather than serving them in stores. I actually helped my mom earlier this week, who has a number of doctor's appointments, to help get set up with this. But this is one way that computers have helped us to solve a changing lifestyle in the midst of COVID. And honestly, there's a lot of other really interesting problems at hand. You'll see a picture here of Wisconsin 2 weeks ago from Milwaukee, where people were forced to go out and vote if they wanted to participate in uh, presidential and Supreme Court elections in the state of Wisconsin, uh, and everybody's wearing masks, standing 6 feet apart. It doesn't really seem like a perfect system right now, and certainly COVID has thrown off the way that we normally vote, which is especially important with a lot of elections coming up this year. COVID has also drastically changed the ways in which elderly people are behaving, the contact that they can have, their ability to get out and get medicine and groceries. And since they're the most vulnerable population, we have millions of people confined to their homes that really are terrified to go outside. I think everybody has someone in their lives that I'm sure they're worried about. I've got a 92-year-old grandfather in New York who is in a similar boat. And of course, we all miss connecting with our friends. We're bored at home. A lot of students have even been saying that they miss school just because it's good to see people. And it's actually led to apps like this one, House Party, which allows a lot of people to video chat at the same time on the same screen, to blow up in their usage in the past couple of weeks. COVID actually provides us with a lot of different problems that we might be able to use computers to solve. Either one of the ones that I've shown before, or hopefully some other ones you can think of. Maybe one that's frustrating you right now in your own life. And so I think it's appropriate to show off our knowledge of JavaScript by solving one by the end of next week. So today, at the end of your quiz, you'll propose a problem that you're interested in taking on and write down 3 features of a website that would solve it. And over the next couple of class periods, we'll use JavaScript and HTML to make some sort of interactive website that could be the basis for that thing. I'm super excited about this project because you guys get the opportunity to participate in solving problems that people all around the world are trying to solve right now. And you've only been learning programming for a couple months. There's just a lot of confidence in you that you have some awesome skills, and I'm really psyched to see what you come up with. If you're feeling ready to take your quiz, you are absolutely welcome to go do that right now. But I did get a lot of questions on the last assignment, and it came down to these three main topics on the left. Um, I think that I'm going to spend a little bit of time showing some examples of these in JavaScript in this video, and maybe a second one if we need it. If you watch the following video and you feel like you still need a lot of guidance, like you still have a lot of questions about what we're looking at, or you want to talk it through, come to office hours from 2 to 4 before taking your quiz. There is plenty of time to answer questions, and there'll be plenty of chances for you to address the things that you need to address. If we go to our Haiku page, you'll see that I've left you some resources. I'm going to do a website example in just a moment. That's copied to the following link. All of our notes and practice problems so far are right here. Whenever you take your quiz, you can go ahead and click on this link. The one thing to keep in mind is that you are allowed to use any of your notes. But I do want everyone to work independently on this assignment. I had people on the last assignment who definitely used the same answers. I don't know if emailed or texted each other about it, but I will be looking out for that as I'm grading quizzes. And Googling things tends not to work super well either, so try to avoid that. There's 15 questions, and it'll be taken out of 10 points. And I do want to talk a little bit about a few of the big ideas from this unit before we get started on it. So here, I've got a web page that should do something, right? Maybe it puts your name up on the screen, says something about you. Put words in it, it doesn't really do anything. Push this button and it doesn't really do anything right now. I can push the button with words in it, say a name like Mr. Barron, and it's really not doing that much for us. So we kind of need three tools to be able to do this well. And the language of JavaScript is going to be able to help us do that. So today, in this little demo, I'm going to give you a reminder of the basics of functions, which are used to make working buttons, variables, which save user input into a placeholder word, and if-else statements, which will check a user's input and change the page in response. If you feel comfortable with these things, you're welcome to go ahead and take the quiz. If not, or if you start the quiz and feel like you don't know the answers, maybe you want to come back. Let's start by taking a look at our button. It says click to edit name. Maybe we want to put our answer eventually in this space that says answer. Well, you'll notice that my button doesn't have some important information in this space that's required to make it interactive. On click equals. And maybe I'll give it a name. Show name, since it's supposed to do that. On click means do something when you get clicked. Show name is going to refer to something that we have yet to write in JavaScript. It refers to a function. I write a function by putting the word function and writing show name exactly as it pops up in the button. It matches the name and on quote equals inside the button. And our function is used to make working buttons. The word function basically means do what's inside of these brackets when the button is pressed. So I have these lines of code that I know how to use. Document.get element by ID. Enter HTML. Equals Mr. Barron. And I said that I wanted my answer to go in the space that says answer goes here. The ID for this thing is subtext. So I'll put that inside the space for get element by ID. And now I've got something that says Mr. Barron. When I want to forgot that in the paragraph, so it's going to get rid of box. Okay. This code will automatically change text to Mr. Barron if it's outside a function, but it takes putting it in here, writing the name of the function, and connecting it to the button itself in order for this to work. Our function name in this case is showName. Now, the most common error I see with functions is that I see a function that doesn't match its name in JavaScript and doesn't match its name on the button. Say, for example, you put this as checkName instead of showName. Now, if I click my button, it doesn't do anything because this button is looking for something called showName over here. It's really not having any luck. It only finds something called checkName and it says, oh, checkName's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for showName. I'm looking for a matching name. Now let's say I wanted to get an answer from this input box, which has the ID name answer. You probably remember this line of code before. And the ID name for my box. I just created what's called a variable. Pause your video and shout at the screen what the name of this variable is. Currently, my variable is named answer. The name is always next to the word var. The name is always next to the word var. I'm actually going to change it right now. I'm going to name it name since this shows our name when the button is pushed. So in this case, my variable is named name. Next to the word var. And basically, what this says, the word name is now a placeholder in code, whatever was put into the box. So if I replace Mr. Barron down here with the word name, this is a placeholder for the value that's coming out of the input box with ID name answer. So even though Mr. Barron doesn't appear anywhere over here, if I put Mr. Barron in, it'll change my name in that space. Maybe if I put in Steve, Megan, it'll do the exact same thing. I've used this placeholder word to save in the values of that box. And whenever I use name again, it'll broadcast it to the screen. I can even use it in more than one place. See, I've got my title up here. I've used name in two different places to represent the value in the input box. Now when I put Mr. Barron, it'll change both of them. I can use it as many times as I want. You need to be able to identify a variable name in a line of code. It's always what goes next to the word var. Stick around if you want to hear more about if-else statements.